Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great day. It is January 16th. It's Friday. Hope everybody's having a great day out there. Hope you're going to enjoy your weekend. I am on my way home right now. I'm taking this weekend off. It's supposed to snow in Minnesota this weekend, so, what's new? Winter has set in. I got up this morning in Minnesota. I had a dropping hook there in the yard, and when I got out there to do that, it was about 2 a.m. and the wind chill was negative 25. It was about, I think it was like 5 below with a 15 mile an hour wind, something like that. It was ridiculous. But hey, it's winter in Minnesota. It is what it is. So since my last video, I've got a few runs in. I grabbed a FedEx run out of St. Paul down to Atlanta. That was a one-stop load. It had a stop at a FedEx facility in East, and then on the west side of Atlanta. Then dropping hooks at the final there. It's a dropping hook on the front end. Really light load, like 15,000 pounds. The stop off took off 3 pallets, so it went really quick. The only thing was, wrong address on that. I showed up to the place I delivered at last time because the Qualcomm said it, but the paperwork had a different address, and it fell through the cracks on everybody. I went by the address on the Qualcomm, and I still had that address saved in my GPS because I did one of these like last week. So I show up there. Qualcomm told me to show up there. The paperwork said otherwise, but I didn't look at the paperwork. That's on me, but I still got paid for for the mishap because the Qualcomm was wrong, and I stuck to that. And I didn't want to admit I was wrong right off the bat, but I kind of played it through and told them, hey, I was going by what you sent me on the Qualcomm. I told them straight up, after they were like, well, we'll pay you for the extra stop. But I got to the wrong place. The guy unloaded the 3 pallets, and then as he's going to sign the paperwork, he's like, this ain't even my stuff. So, I felt like a real dummy on that one. So, he threw it back on. The only real problem with it was he threw it back on. I was at the other facility within an hour of getting to the first facility. It was about 15 miles away, something like that. The only thing of it is I fought Atlanta traffic to get, down to that stop. At one point, it took an hour to go 8 miles. It was ridiculously bad. It was Friday. It was pouring rain. There was more fender benders there than I could keep count of. I mean, it was ridiculous. So he threw it back on. I ran it to the next facility. Like I said, I got paid on that stop off for 2 stop offs instead of 1. The stop offs don't pay that great on that. They're like $30 a stop, but they're quick stops. Would have been really quick and convenient if I hadn't have fought all the traffic to get to the wrong place. I felt like a real dummy on that one, but it happens. I guarantee you next time I'll be paying more attention. So dispatch calls me on the way into Atlanta on Friday morning, and they said, hey, we've got a reefer unit in Atlanta. Grab that reefer unit. We've got a load that you're going to want. And I referred to them, I don't want reefer loads. I'm not knocking reefer loads. I make good money when I did reefer before, but they don't have the connections here. Number one, their customer base does not, they've got maybe 1 or 2 customers in the whole country that requires a reefer unit. So I wasn't real happy, especially being in that area. I was like, oh my God, what are they going to do? Make me go sit at a poultry processing facility all day and wait on a load that picks up at 10 o'clock at night, or something. I wanted them to explain to me the benefit of me grabbing that reefer, and they said, they kind of explained it. They said, if you can get to it today, it has to be pulled today. They wanted me there by like 2 p.m. I was like, I'll grab it and I'll see what I can do. So I got there. I grabbed the reefer unit. Luckily it started, because that's the thing with a lot of our reefers. They don't run them a lot. They do a lot of, honestly, I don't even understand why they have reefer units here. But, I guess they service a few customers. But to me, it doesn't seem worth it, because they, mostly we're just pulling dry van loads in them, and the batteries go dead because they sit there forever in the cold in Minnesota. But anyway, so I grabbed it. I did what they wanted, and it really worked out for me. It did. They had a load that was one pick, one drop. It picked up from a Van Lines place, like a household goods type place, and so yeah, it worked out really well for me. It was one crate. I showed up there, they were expecting me. I had it preset. They wanted it run at 60 degrees continuous. I'm all for it. I don't care. I don't pay for reefer fuel, so I don't care. When I was doing reefer before, I hated continuous run because it just, uses about at least twice the amount of fuel most of the time. This was recording equipment, is what I was told it was. I never saw it. I mean, hell, could have been dead bodies for all I know, but I was told it was recording equipment. It weighed like 3,700 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark. So, all in all, really good load. I got almost 9 miles a gallon on that. Went back to Minnesota. They just want it in a reefer unit so they could keep it at a steady temperature. I guess it was like sensitive equipment or something. I pulled up, popped the doors. They ran it in. They checked the reefer unit fuel and temperature and sealed it up, and I was on my way. I threw a load lock on it just to keep it from moving around, because it's just a wooden crate in there on that aluminum floor. But yeah, ran it up. Like I said, got really good fuel mileage out of that, and I got fuel for like $2.69 down there, and yeah, I mean, I ran that thing from Atlanta to Minnesota on just a hair over just a hair over a half a tank. I think it was about 120, 130 gallons that took to run that far, and I mean, it was 1,100 miles, a little over 1,100 miles on that one. So I wish I could get more of those. That's one time I actually do. And when it's going back to Minnesota, I don't mind pulling a reefer unit because I gotta take it to the yard and drop it and hook to a dry van, because that's exactly what I did. As soon as I got unloaded, before I even told them I was ready to go on something else, I went back to the yard and dropped that reefer unit. And I told them, I said, hey, I don't have that reefer unit anymore. I let it go. And so don't be looking for me no reefer loads. They just don't have the contacts to run reefer here, to me. They basically work the spot market, and you can get in some really bad areas with a reefer as far as, some not really dead spots, but the rates just aren't there. So, a lot of times when I'm pulling a reefer, we end up putting a dry van load on it because, number one, they're not trying to, run a reefer the right way to make, really good money with it. They want, light loads, one pick, one drop, which I'm all for, but that's more dry van territory than it is reefer territory. Reefer is a lot of maxed out weight with, 5 stops on it, or that's how I usually play it, because you make way more per mile doing that. And you got to deal with the hassle of reefer, because they don't have the customers. Like I said, they don't drop and hook the reefer. You're going to live load it, live unload it every time. So I'd rather just not even deal with it here. Like I said, they're just not set up for it. So I dropped that in the yard. Got me a preload out of there on a dry van. So that was a really good load as well. That load was going to Illinois. It's a customer I do a lot. It's drop and hook. I hook it out of the yard. They have a local guy load these. They do one of these every weekday. So there's typically always one on the yard, and I try to get it if it's there, because like this was a heavier one, and it was like under 7,000 pounds. So they're typically like 3 to 7, maybe 8,000 pounds. But Really good, profitable loads. You know, it's not like with the one coming out of, you know, out of the south there. I got that. I was getting fuel for like $2.69 a gallon, I think. So, still not bad up in Wisconsin. You know, I found fuel for like in the $2.75 range. So, sticking to these light loads and getting cheap fuel is, it's made for a pretty good week. I'm kind of going to shoot the week in the foot by taking off the weekend, but should still get a decent check because of, you know, light loads and not burning a lot of fuel, and you know, a decent rate on that recording equipment. That was paying like I was $2.20 a mile, you know, which for a under 4,000 pound load, that's a pretty good rate. Fuel was cheap. I think my fuel cost on that load was like, I want to say like 32 cents a mile, something like that. So, you know, when you can get over $2 a mile and you can keep your fuel down to 30 cents, you know, 33 at the tops on that, that's probably counting DEF as well. You know, it's probably in the 33 range. So did the load down to Illinois. That one, I probably got about 8.2 miles a gallon on that one. It just wasn't on as new or good of a trailer. That's what I'm going to put that on, because there really was no wind. And it was a light load. I think it was just the trailer, was an old clunky trailer, and I don't know. So the load I got now, I dropped that in Illinois, that really light load. I came back up to Wisconsin, got a load going back to Minnesota. It's going to drop on the yard. They're going to have a local guy deliver it. I think it delivers Monday. They may try to deliver it tomorrow. I don't know. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be back in Minneapolis at probably like 6 or 7 in the morning. I'm going to get up and knock this out because I want to get home time started as soon as possible. So yeah, that's kind of been my week. You know, down to Atlanta, I'm back, and then a little Illinois. You know, it was like a 400-mile load. Then I got another 400-mile load out of Wisconsin. A little bit more deadhead than I wanted in there. But, you know, when you're heading to home time, you kind of got to grab what's going that way when you want to be there. And this load delivering in Minneapolis gives me the opportunity just to drop it on the yard, have a local guy deliver it. Doesn't really cost me anything as far as, you know, delivering it. So I don't have the delivery time and all that. So pros and cons, you know, I give a little bit on the deadhead, but I don't have to deliver it. So, and it was drop and hook on both ends. I really wish they would develop this customer. Of course, I don't know, you know, I know there's more to it than just saying, hey, we want more loads, but this customer out of Wisconsin, I wish we could do more of these, because it's so efficient on, you know, you basically, what happens, you show up, you drop your trailer in a door, the trailer you need's right next to it. You know, they send me the loaded trailer number on the Qualcomm, and, you know, bing, bam, boom, you're in, you're out, maybe 30 minutes tops, you know, and it's a good straight run back to Minnesota. I don't know how many of those they turn out a day, but it's a pretty busy place. So I would like to get more of them. I don't know. It weighs 27,000 pounds, I believe, is where I'm at on this one. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I tried to see about doing the one out of the yard there, the really light load down, and then come up and grab one of these out of Wisconsin every day. You know, it would be from the yard down, 100-mile deadhead up to Wisconsin, grab that, run straight back to the yard. I would have no deadhead on the other if they keep getting the local guy to load it. It's about, it's a little over 800 miles loaded with a 100-mile deadhead, which, you know, if that's all I did, you can't do it in one day. You know, it's like a day and a half. But if I could turn like, you know, 4 of those a week, I think I could turn 4 of them a week. You know, it would be like 30. I'd have to sit down and do the exact miles on it, but I'm going to ballpark it at about 3,400 miles if you did 4 of those a week, because it's not quite 800 miles on the 2 loads. So if you put them together, it's probably 850 complete, run, 850 to 900. I'd love to do 4 of those a week. I think I could do 4 of those a week just because, it's all drop and hook. It's efficient. And it pays contract rates, but, I'm running an area that I'm familiar with doing that, and I know where to get fuel at cheap in that area too. And I don't know. I've talked to them about it. They said they would look into it. I don't think they were too serious about it. I think they like leaving that Wisconsin open so they can run people back to Minnesota. The company drivers, I think they run them back up there when they need a service. They send them up there, and that gets them back to Minnesota to the shop. So I don't think they want to give that up as an all-the-time thing, but I don't know. We'll see. But that's been my week, guys. I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. I'm going to hop off here. I'm definitely going to enjoy my weekend. Take care of each other out there. Later, everybody.